the outcasts of the stars. The galaxy was vast, filled with shining worlds and countless species, but there were two sisters who had no place in any of them. They were born under a broken star, children of an alien race that feared its own power. Their people called them cursed because strange light flowed in their veins, and when they touched anything in anger, that thing burned like fire. The older sister learned to hide her strength, but the younger could not control it. Every time they tried to live among others, something went wrong. Machines broke, lights flickered, people whispered. Soon the sisters were forced to flee again and again. They moved from planet to planet, ship to ship, always chased by fear and hate. They were too wild for peace, too gentle for war. No one wanted them, not even the races who claimed to believe in mercy. The elder sister, quiet and calm, always said, "One day someone will understand us." But even she began to doubt those words. The younger one stopped smiling long ago. Their ship was small and old, drifting near the edge of a dying star system. Food was low. Fuel was almost gone. They watched the faint glow of distant worlds, but none of those worlds would welcome them. The sisters sat in silence, looking at the stars through cracked glass. For them, the galaxy was not a place of wonder. It was a cold sea that never stopped pushing them away. Then one night, the ship's alarm began to beep softly. The older sister looked at the screen. It showed a faint human distress signal coming from a ruined colony world nearby. She hesitated. Humans were strange creatures. The galaxy called them dangerous, unpredictable, even barbaric. But the distress code was weak and fading fast. Someone was dying down there. The younger sister whispered, "If we go, they might blame us again." The elder looked at the fading signal. "And if we don't, they will die." Her hand trembled, but she pressed the thruster control. The ship turned slowly toward the dead world. Clouds of ash covered its sky, and fire still burned in its broken cities. As they entered the atmosphere, the hull shook, and sparks danced across the console. The younger sister tried to hold the control steady, while the elder searched the ground for life signs. Then, she saw it, a human beacon still blinking through the smoke. They landed near the ruins. The air was heavy and smelled of burnt metal. Through the cracked helmet glass, the elder sister saw shadows moving among the debris. Bodies of machines and people were everywhere, and in the center of it all, a small group of survivors were trying to repair a broken oxygen unit. One of them, a tall human in a torn uniform, looked up when he saw the alien sisters. He didn't reach for a weapon. He didn't shout in fear. He just smiled, weak but real. The sisters stepped closer carefully. No human had ever looked at them without hatred. The man spoke, his voice calm despite the chaos. "Are you here to help?" The elder sister didn't know what to say. No one had ever asked that before. Finally, she nodded. "Yes, we help." The human laughed softly. "Then you came at the right time." The sisters worked fast, repairing the oxygen lines with their strange energy, fusing metal where human tools failed. The man watched in silence. When the machine came alive again, clean air began to flow and the survivors cheered weakly. One of them whispered, "They're not monsters?" The captain turned toward them and said, "No, they just saved your lives." For a long moment, the sisters stood frozen. No one had ever thanked them before. The younger one's eyes filled with tears. The elder felt something inside her chest she had almost forgotten. Warmth. The human captain offered them water and food, though he had little left. When he looked at them, he didn't see danger. He saw people. Outside, thunder rolled across the dark sky. The elder sister looked up, sensing movement in orbit. A fleet, maybe pirates or raiders, closing in. The human captain noticed her stare and said quietly, "They're coming for what's left of us." The younger sister clenched her fists, light flickering in her palms. The elder placed a hand on her shoulder. "No more running," she said. The human smiled faintly. "Then let's fight together." And at that moment, something in the stars changed. For the first time, the sisters were not outcasts. They were part of something, a human act of courage that burned brighter than any sun. The galaxy would soon learn that the ones it had rejected had finally found someone who believed in them. The human captain. The morning light never reached that broken world. Ash clouds covered the sky like a shroud, and fires still burned among the ruins. The alien sisters stood beside the human captain as rescue drones buzzed above, searching for survivors. The captain's name was Reed, though he never spoke it unless asked. He moved with quiet purpose, calm even as smoke and death filled the air. There was something in his eyes, not fear, not pity, but understanding, the kind the sisters had never seen before. When they finished helping the wounded, Reed turned to them. "Your energy," he said softly. "It saved everyone. You should be proud." The elder sister blinked in surprise. No one had ever used that word, proud, for them. The younger sister whispered, "We only did what anyone would." Reed smiled, shaking his head. "No, most people would have left us to die." Before the sisters could answer, a low hum trembled through the ground. From above, red lights pierced the ash clouds. Ships. Reed's face hardened. "They're back," he muttered. He tapped his wristcom. "Command, we need extraction now. Enemy raiders inbound." A faint voice replied, "Copy that, Captain. Hold for 6 minutes." Reed looked toward the sky. 6 minutes might be all we have. He turned to the sisters. "You can leave now if you want. You've done more than enough." The elder one frowned. "And let you die?" Reed gave a small grin. "That's part of the job." But she shook her head. "Not today." The raiders descended like vultures. Fast attack craft, painted black, symbols of the outer clans. They had come to loot what was left of the colony, to take slaves and scrap. The humans were few, outnumbered 20 to 1. Reed ordered his people to form a defense line among the wreckage. Broken ships turned into barricades. The sisters took position beside them. When the first wave landed, the air filled with plasma fire. Reed fought like he'd been born in battle, every shot clean, every command clear. The sisters watched as he stood in open fire, covering his crew. He did not hide behind armor. He trusted his people. Something inside the elder sister stirred, a respect deeper than she'd ever known. Then one of the raiders broke through the defense, its heavy cannon charging to fire at the human wounded. The younger sister moved without thinking. She raised her hand, and light exploded from her palm like a sun. The beam hit the raider midair, slicing it apart before it could shoot. Everyone stopped. The battlefield went silent for a heartbeat. Reed turned to her, eyes wide. She feared he would call her a monster, like all others had. But he simply said, "Remind me never to make you angry." And then he laughed. A deep, real laugh in the middle of war. For the first time, the younger sister laughed too. The battle raged on. Raiders kept coming, but now they faced something beyond their understanding. Every time one fell, more came, drawn by greed and chaos. The elder sister joined her sibling, her energy wrapping around her arms like living lightning. Together they stood, two figures glowing amid smoke and ash. The humans began to chant their names, calling them guardians. By the time the human rescue ships arrived, the ground was covered in wreckage. Dozens of raider ships burned in the distance, their remains lighting up the horizon. The sisters stood silent, their power fading, eyes glowing softly in the dark. Reed walked toward them, helmet under his arm. "I've seen a lot of things," he said, "but I've never seen courage like that." The elder sister looked down. "We are not heroes." Reed replied, "Then what are you?" She thought for a long moment before saying, "We are just trying to belong." Reed nodded slowly. "Then come with us. My ship's leaving orbit soon. You saved my crew. You've earned a place among us." The younger sister looked at her sibling in disbelief. "Humans will not want us," she said quietly. Reed smiled again. "You haven't met my humans. When the sisters stepped onto the human transport ship, something inside them shifted. They had always been alone, running from fear and hate. Now, as the ship rose toward the stars, they felt something new, belonging. But even as they watched the dead world shrink below, the elder sister sensed danger in the stars above. Too many eyes were watching. Far away, across the galactic core, transmissions spread like wildfire. Alien governments, pirate clans, and noble houses, all whispering the same thing. The cursed sisters have joined the Terrans. And with those words, fear began to spread. Not fear of the sisters alone, but fear of what humanity might become with them. As the Vanguard Dawn, Reed's flagship, entered hyperspace, the elder sister closed her eyes. For the first time, she felt peace. But somewhere deep in her mind, a quiet voice whispered, "The galaxy rejected you once. It will not forgive you for being strong." And she knew the calm would not last, because in the darkness beyond the stars, something was already coming. Something ancient and angry that would make the entire galaxy regret ever calling them outcasts. The Whispering Fleet. The Vanguard Dawn sliced through the darkness of space like a silver spear, its engines glowing blue against the endless black. Inside, the alien sisters stood at the observation deck watching distant stars rush past. For the first time, they were not running. For the first time, they belonged somewhere. The human crew treated them with quiet respect. Some were cautious, others curious, but none looked at them with fear. They worked side by side, fixing systems, learning languages, sharing meals. The younger sister laughed freely again, her eyes bright as she learned human songs. The older one stayed watchful, feeling peace but never trusting it fully. She had lived too long in a galaxy that smiled before striking. Captain Reed noticed her silence one evening. He stood beside her, arms crossed, gazing at the stars. "You don't relax much, do you?" he asked. She gave a small smile. "Peace is new to us. It feels fragile." Reed nodded. "Peace always does. That's why we fight for it." But far beyond the human frontier, peace was already breaking. In the halls of the Galactic Council, whispers turned into fear. Reports flowed in. The cursed sisters had joined the humans. Alien ambassadors argued, their voices sharp. "They will teach humans their energy tricks," one shouted. "They'll turn them into weapons," cried another. The council high speaker slammed his hand down. Humanity was already dangerous. Now they have power beyond control. A decision was made in silence. No record was kept, no public message sent. But fleets began to move. They called it containment. But in truth, it was hunt. Back on the Vanguard Dawn, strange signals started appearing on the radar, faint blips at the edge of detection. Reed frowned at the screen. "Shadow contacts. They're tailing us." The elder sister stepped closer. "They are watching." Reed's jaw tightened. "Let them watch." "We're not hiding." But deep inside, he knew this wasn't a scouting patrol. It was surveillance, and it was spreading. A week later, one of the human outposts went silent. Then another. Ships reported static, strange energy readings, the same kind that surrounded the sisters when they used their power. The galaxy was turning their gift into a weapon of fear. In the mess hall, crew members whispered nervously. "They say the council might ban us from safe ports," one muttered. Another replied, "They fear what they don't understand." The younger sister overheard and turned away, her eyes heavy. "We've seen this before," she said quietly to her sister. "Once again they will come for us." The elder sister placed her hand on the table. "Not this time." That night, alarms screamed across the ship. "Multiple signatures incoming!" Reed ran to the bridge. On the main screen, a dozen ships appeared from hyperspace, council fleet vessels. Their symbols glowed like stars of judgment. Reed's officer looked at him. "They're hailing us, sir." "Put it through," Reed ordered. A hologram flickered to life. A tall alien in regal armor, eyes filled with cold superiority. "Human vessel Vanguard Dawn," the voice echoed. "You harbor 2 fugitives, known destroyers of worlds. Surrender them immediately." Reed stood firm. "They saved my people." "They're not criminals," the alien sneered. "You dare defy the council?" Reed smiled grimly. "We're humans. Defiance is what we do best." The hologram vanished. Seconds later, the first energy blast hit the Vanguard Dawn. The ship shuddered. Sparks flew. Crew members braced for impact. Reed shouted, "Return fire!"
Shields up!
The sisters rushed to the core chamber, where the ship's main power reactor hummed like a living heart. The elder one placed her hands on the reactor's surface. The younger asked, "Can we?" The elder nodded slowly. "We can." Their glowing hands pressed against the metal. Energy flowed through the entire ship, one brighter, faster, alive. The human shields flared with golden light. Council ships fired again, but the energy dissolved before it touched them. "Captain," cried the engineer, "the shields." "They're not just holding, they're feeding back." The Vanguard Dawn moved like lightning, cutting through the enemy line. Its cannons, now glowing with alien power, fired blasts that tore through cruisers twice its size. Council ships scattered, unable to understand what they were facing. When the last shot faded, silence filled the stars. Only debris and fading light remained. Reed stood on the bridge, staring at the chaos. He whispered, "The whole galaxy just saw that." The elder sister stepped beside him. "Then they will come." Reed nodded. "Let them. They'll find out what happens when they threaten my crew." Far away, across hundreds of systems, those who had watched the battle trembled. The whispers grew louder, from merchant worlds to royal courts. Some said the humans had made a pact with demons. Others said they had become gods. But one thing was certain. The Whispering Fleet had begun its hunt, and the galaxy would never be silent again. The hunt begins. The galaxy burned with rumor and fear. Every channel, every station, every council broadcast whispered the same message. The humans are hiding the cursed ones. Across the star maps, fleets began to move, slow at first, then faster, like a storm spreading through space. What started as whispers became commands. What began as observation turned into war. The council called it Operation Cleansing, but everyone knew what it truly meant. They were coming for the sisters, and anyone who stood with them. On board the Vanguard Dawn, the crew worked in silence. They had just survived the council's ambush, but now they knew worse was coming. Captain Reed stood at the holotable, his jaw tight, eyes fixed on the galaxy map glowing red with incoming fleets. "They've sent 5 battle groups," he said quietly. His second officer swallowed hard. "That's 1,000 ships, sir," Reed nodded. "And we've got one." The younger sister spoke softly from the corner. "Maybe if we leave, they will not follow." Reed looked up sharply. "You think we'll let them hunt you alone?" "No chance." The elder sister stepped forward. "Your people could die because of us." Reed leaned closer, voice low and steady. "They're already dying because of the council's fear. At least now we fight for something real." The room went silent. Outside, the stars flickered, as if they too were waiting. Hours later, Human Command sent a single coded message. "All Terran fleets, stand by for full mobilization. We do not abandon our own." From Earth's orbit to the moons of Titan, from Mars' defense rings to outer colonies, humanity's warships began to move. Dreadnoughts, carriers, gunships, the sky filled with Terran steel. The galaxy had seen human war before, but never like this. Now they were fighting not for conquest, but for family. The Vanguard Dawn joined the main fleet at the edge of a red dwarf system. The sisters watched from the command bridge, surrounded by thousands of ships, glowing lines stretching into infinity. The sight was beautiful and terrifying, the elder sister whispered. "All this for us?" Reed replied softly, "For what's right." Moments later, sensors screamed. The Council's armada had arrived. Hundreds of vessels burst from hyperspace, towering cruisers, dreadships, and golden capital destroyers. The stars themselves seemed to vanish under their shadows. "Human fleet," came the broadcast, cold and regal. "You stand in violation of galactic peace. Hand over the fugitives and surrender." Reed's voice echoed through every ship in the fleet. "This is Captain Reed of the Terran Navy. You want them? You'll have to come through all of us." Then he cut the channel and said, "All ships, battle stations." The first salvo tore across the void. Light brighter than suns, energy that ripped through space. Human shields flared blue, then red, straining under the assault. The Vanguard Dawn shook violently. Systems failed, alarms screamed. The younger sister fell to her knees, clutching her chest. "They're using suppression fields." "It weakens our power." Reed slammed his fist on the console. "Then we'll do this the hard way." He turned to the elder sister. "Can you bypass their field?" She closed her eyes, focusing. Her voice trembled. "I can try, but it will hurt." Reed met her gaze. Do it. She placed her hands against the floor and light spread from her palms, crawling through the ship's metal veins. The lights dimmed, then pulsed. Every system came alive again, stronger than before. The Vanguard Dawn's engines roared, pushing beyond its limits. Reed grinned. Now let's show them what happens when humans and outcasts fight together. The Terran fleet struck back. Human dreadnoughts formed a wall of fire, missiles streaking across the black. Fighters darted between explosions, weaving through wreckage like sparks in the wind. The sisters joined their energy with the ship's reactor, transforming its weapons into living light. Each shot they fired tore through enemy armor like paper. The younger sister cried out, her hands shaking, but she refused to stop. Reed shouted, "Hold the line! Every second counts." As the battle raged, a massive Council flagship appeared, 10 times larger than any Terran ship. Its hull was carved with alien symbols glowing blood red. It aimed its main cannon toward the Vanguard Dawn. Reed's crew screamed warnings. "Captain, they're locking on!" Reed's voice cut through the panic. "Brace for impact." The blast came, a beam so powerful it split asteroids apart. But instead of destruction, light erupted from the Vanguard Dawn, golden and blinding. The sisters stood at the center of it, their power merging, forming a shield that turned death into brilliance. The flagship's cannon overheated and exploded from its own feedback. Silence followed, the kind that only comes after impossible survival. Then the humans cheered. When the smoke cleared, half the Council fleet was gone. The rest scattered into hyperspace, leaving trails of fire behind them. Reed looked around the ruined bridge, blood on his face but eyes full of fire. He said quietly, "They thought they could erase you. Instead, they woke us all up." The elder sister smiled faintly, exhausted but proud. The younger one whispered, "They will come again." Reed nodded. "Then we'll be ready." Far beyond their sensors, however, a darker shadow was watching, silent and ancient. Not Council, not pirate, not known. Something older than empires, now stirred by the light of 2 sisters and the humans who dared to protect them. The hunt was not over. It had only just begun. The light that cannot be banished. Silence followed the battle, but it was the silence before another storm. Human fleets drifted among wreckage, repairing, mourning, rebuilding. The sisters stood on the ruined bridge of the Vanguard Dawn, their faces lit by dying sparks. They had survived what no one believed possible, yet the elder sister's heart was restless. Something vast was moving in the dark, far beyond the Council's reach. She felt it first in a pulse beneath the stars, deep and ancient, like a heartbeat echoing through the void. The younger sister felt it too. "It's calling us." Captain Reed turned toward them. "What is?" The elder answered softly, "The one that made us." The return of the forgotten, long before the Council or the humans, there had been the architects, beings of energy who shaped galaxies and vanished. The sisters were not born. They were remnants of those architects, fragments of creation given form. The Council had feared them because somewhere deep down it remembered that truth. Now something from that lost age had awakened, drawn by the sisters' light. A structure unlike any other emerged from hyperspace, a living fortress made of crystal and flame. Its voice thundered across every communication channel, across every species network. "Children of the architects, you have awakened what should have slept. Prepare the stars for cleansing." Every world that heard it trembled. Even the Council fell silent. It was not human. It was not alien. It was beyond all. Humanity refuses to kneel. Reed gathered every surviving captain on a single transmission. "This thing doesn't care who we are, human, alien, outcast. It wants everything gone." He looked toward the sisters. "You said you wanted to belong. Now the whole galaxy belongs to this fight." Human fleets moved once again, broken, scarred, but united. Ships that once stood against each other now flew side by side. Council cruisers, pirate raiders, mercenary bands, and all answered the same desperate signal. Human command's call to stand. The sisters felt the power of the architect fortress spreading. It was feeding on fear. "We can stop it," the elder said, "but we will need all of them." Reed smiled grimly. "Then let's remind the stars what unity looks like." The final battle, the last stand, took place near a dying sun, where gravity twisted light and space together. The Vanguard Dawn led the fleet. When the architect fortress arrived, it dwarfed them all, a mountain of burning glass. It spoke again. Light returns to the void. Darkness will remain pure. The sisters stepped forward, hands glowing, eyes bright with power. They looked almost human now, fragile, determined, alive. Reed watched them, knowing what they meant to do. "If this is suicide," he said, "at least it'll be the most beautiful one I've seen." The elder smiled. "It's not death, Captain. It's becoming." Then they rose, their energy merging until they were one beam of living light. The human fleet opened fire to shield them, wave after wave of plasma striking the fortress. The sisters' voices echoed through every mind in the fleet. "You called us monsters. You called us cursed, but we were the light you lost." Their energy erupted outward, forming a golden ring that stretched across space. The fortress shattered. Every dark weapon turned to dust. The explosion lit the dying sun, making it blaze one last time, brighter than ever before. After the light, when the glare faded, the vanguard dawn floated in silence. No fortress, no architects, just stars calm and endless. Reed opened his eyes to the view of the galaxy, whole and living. The sisters were gone, or so he thought. Then faintly the ship's AI spoke. "Captain, new energy signature detected." He turned and saw two faint figures of light standing near the reactor core, smiling. Their voices were soft like wind over water. "We are still here, just different." Reed felt a warmth rise in his chest. "You saved everyone." The elder replied, "No, you did. You believed." The galaxy would remember that day not as the day humans won a war, but the day two outcasts and one human captain showed that even in endless darkness, light cannot be banished. Epilogue: centuries later, travelers still tell the story. They say sometimes when a Terran ship passes through the outer rim, its engines glow a little brighter. They say two shapes of light follow close behind, watching, guarding, smiling. And somewhere in the endless void, the words of Captain Reed echo through time. The galaxy rejected them once. But the stars never did.